What's up? My name is D Smoke from Inglewood, California, and you're watching Acton Entertainment. Big shout out. Oh man, it was an incredible experience. It's a huge crowd of people that love big songs, so it's different coming in as a rapper, and it's like we know we rap, you know what I'm saying? Our rap crowd is like, man, we love what you say, we love your message, where you come from, what you about, but then it's like, okay, these people they're coming in hearing the radio hits that they've been hearing for years, and so as a musician, it's a different challenge, and I think the things I have going to my advantage of that, I can also get behind my instrument and play and rap and be myself and tell stories. And so, it's always an interesting position to open up for somebody because, in general, people came to see that closing act. But I love a challenge, so you really like, look, I'm gonna win all these people over tonight. And I feel like we've done it every city. The response has been overwhelming. And it's so much love every time we step off stage. The greatest thing I learned is just be a full composer. You know what I'm saying? Compose your show from beginning to end. Utilize everybody on stage. Create transitions that just keep people engaged. Never let them, once you have your audience, never let them go. You know what I'm saying? No dead moments. And so, there's only one moment in my set, or in that set that I'm opening up for Alicia where I talk, and everything else is a transition where we either use the musicians on stage, an audio clip, just a moment, and then the one moment I talk is to really just appreciate the people for being in the same room, showing up for themselves and for the show, and putting out that energy that we could feel from on stage. So yeah. Yeah, big arenas. I'm talking about 20,000 people in Paris, 17, 18,000 people in Bordeaux, Madrid going crazy. So it was for sure something special. And but I think Inglewood prepares you for that if you make it out. If you get stuck, if Inglewood swallows you whole, then Inglewood just, it overcame you. But if Inglewood sends you out into the world, it sends you out strong and equipped, Absolutely. Everything's a possibility. My thing is, I've always prided myself in the fact that we're growing organically, So I think Alicia Keys and her team got a chance to see, the real artist that I am, the professional that I am. And when you're an artist of that caliber, you don't just, throw features around and this and that and the other, So, but I think they know, not just that I put out cool music or whatever, but I think they know, like, oh, D Smokes, he's real. You know what I'm saying? And those are the things that make room for, like, big collaborations. So I see it happening. The Stevie picture, oh man, that's a beautiful story. That started over a year ago, about 2 years ago. Stevie found my project. Somebody on his team was like, Stevie, you gotta listen to this kid from Inglewood. Because Stevie has roots in Inglewood, KJLH, his radio station is based in Inglewood. And so they was like, you gotta listen to this, and he listened to the whole project. And then there was one day where about 5 people just was blowing my phone up. I'm talking about, within 3 minutes, I'm getting mad missed calls. And they were like, everybody was like, bro, Stevie's trying to get in contact with you. And can I curse? Bro, I was like, why the fuck ain't y'all just give him my number? Like, y'all are hitting me, give him my number. And then so finally they connect us. And he was like, man, hey, is this D Smoke? And then I'm like, yes. And you could just hear his voice. I'm like, man, it's Stevie Wonder. And then he's like, what's your real name? You know, I was like, I'm Daniel. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, Daniel in the Lions Den. So he's just making connections, and he's like, when's your birthday? He was like, I said October 17th. He was like, oh, so you're a Libra. Then he said, oh, somebody else is a Libra. You know, so it was just a conversation where he was getting to know me. You know, he didn't want anything at the time, and we just chopped it up. And then he finally told me, like, man, I love what you're doing. I love your music, you know, Black Habits. I hear your mom on there, your family, and, you know, and then some of his favorites were ones later in the project, so, you know, he sat with it. He was like, man, Closer to God, that one. And so it was just like one of those like out of body experiences, because Stevie is one of those artists that my mom put on in the house. You know, I didn't grow up sheltered, so to speak, but my parents did kind of limit what we could listen to. When we was first listening to Snoop, that was when she was gone. You know what I'm saying? Snoop and Dre, that was like, oh, mom gone, my uncle gonna put on Snoop and Dre. But in general, it was gospel music, and then it was people like Stevie Wonder, oldies and stuff. And my dad was the Temptations, you know. And so, but we knew Stevie. We grew up singing Stevie Wonder songs as a family. And so, so when he hit me and told me he just loved the music, and you know, he said he wanted me to play the whole album on KJLH. Like, I went on KJLH and sat and talked through every song, you know. And it was super dope. And so that was the beginning of us having conversations. After that, it became like, you know, I let him know that my wife plays violin, and if he ever needs, you know, string arrangements, anything. And so he ultimately called us like, hey, I got a song that I'd love to hear some string parts on. So he called us in. Well, he sent us the song. We did some work from home, and he called us in to play it. And there he just, you know, it's the big control room, then the big booth with all the live instruments. We go into the booth, and he just starts playing unreleased songs, playing and singing. And it was all the genius that we know Stevie Wonder to be right there in the flesh. And it was out of body experience. And it was a week before Mother's Day. And, you know, I hit him like, hey, can my mom pull up too? He's like, of course. You know, because he knows she's on the music and on the project, and he's heard her voice. So to be able to see, like, and one time me and my wife just left her and him in the booth standing around the piano. She played and sang for him, you know. And so it was just a dope moment that I got to witness, you know. And then we ate and talked, and he told jokes and all this stuff. So Stevie's a funny dude too. A funny dude. Stevie will tell you quick. He'll be like, man, you know, I watch all kind of crazy things on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, do you, Stevie? Okay. Man, I'm talking genius. The way he hears music is different. Like, he hears music in a whole different way. Like, you just got to stand over and watch him play. Like, wait, how'd you come up with that? You know what I'm saying? So, it was dope. DJ Khaled, he said, these are his words at his house, and you know, I'm sure he would confirm it. He was like, look, man, I respect what you're doing, you know, and I fully understand if you want to go independent, you know, but I have to offer you, you know, a deal, you know what I'm saying? I have to put this on the table. And, you know, and my thing was, I was going for deals, and you know, it's funny, I got all the respect and love for DJ Khaled in the world. Like, I pressed play on all the stuff we had ready to release, and he pressed play on some things that he had ready and that are now out. It's just bangers. But I really wanted to try my hand at and not even try my hand, just choose the road of, you know, testing out our wings as a company, as business people, as completely independent people who can move autonomously. And so that's what we chose. But it's always respect. You know, I still, you know, hit Khaled, you know, if I'm gonna be around his, you know, side of town and all that stuff. But you know, Khaled did put it on the table, and that was kind of the approach, because people knew that it's like, we're offering you the deal when you've already won. There's a certain amount of like notoriety and fame that comes with that. And so, yeah, and I wouldn't, if somebody in my position chose to go another route, I would applaud them in that decision, because these are also heavy hitters who know what to do in those positions. I just believe I have a unique skill set given my experience in business, in music, in education, and just know exactly what I wanted to do. That was the question. That was the question. And my thing is, it's two parts to major labels. It's people in the office who can be passionate about what they want to do with artists and have all these dreams and endeavors. And that's like the tip of the iceberg. But the real big part of the iceberg is business affairs. And if the numbers don't add up from their standpoint, and it's not and so much of what we do as artists is like, before it makes sense, we got to do it already, because inside we feel it, right? But on the other hand, labels operate the reverse. Like, until it makes sense, they won't. You know what I'm saying? So you still, I've seen so many artists get signed and still have to move independently to get the label that signed them to really push them. You know, so not to say that that's what will happen with a Khaled or anything like that, but you know, and I ain't gonna front, like, it's hard times no matter what road you choose. There were moments as an independent where I was like, damn, if we had somebody like that, what would this push be like for this particular song, you know? And so, and you know, T.I. is my big homie, you know, and you know, he basically was like, look, man, however you want to do this, you can do this. If you want to go independent, you still got me as an advisor, all that stuff. But if you want to come this way, you know what I'm saying, the grand hustle, you know, that was on the table as well. And he respected that. It was like, he could see, I think all of them could see it in my eyes that I was like, no, I'm coming for it, like, on mine, you know, because, you know, I see those people as my peers, you know, and so yeah, and we still moving forward. We're still just getting started. If you look at the trajectory of artists if I look at the trajectory of artists that I admire, you know, and see myself in that same category, these people are 15 years in, you know what I'm saying? It's 2022. It's 2022. First time I heard of, you know, we opened up for Kendrick Lamar at Whiskey A Go Go weeks before Dre stamped him, and that was in 2011. You know what I'm saying? So that's 11 years in. You know what I'm saying? We're 3 years in. You feel me? You know, from the moment Rhythm and Flow hit. So that's not even a full, you know, that's not even a full 3 till we get to September. So those are the things that when it gets rough, we got to tell ourselves, like, hey, you know, it's a journey. Oh, absolutely. Those were the easy ones to turn down. Because when you sit with T.I. and them, because it's like you want to be like, hey, bro, I don't want to lose you as a resource because I'm not choosing this path, right? Only person that didn't even offer to sign me, that just came in on straight big homie shit was Snoop. You know what I'm saying? And by the time I met with Dre, I was already running full speed and working with Empire as distribution. But Snoop was just like, nigga, you know, let's get on the song, pull up to the studio, press play. He came to Inglewood and hopped in the video like, we gonna be West Coast, that's what we gonna do. And so, but yeah, but the labels, we came to the labels like, look, we're willing to do a deal, you know, but this is the structure we talking about. We're not coming with some, you know, we coming with ownership, because I know they write them. You know, depending on who they sign, they make those type of deals, you know. And it really was the Nipsey model. We was like, you know, rest in peace, Nip. We was like, we want Nip's deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want our masters back. We want a certain amount up front, and we know y'all got it. So, you know, and they was like, okay, we hear you. And when they sent us the terms of what this contract was gonna be, it was nothing like what we told them we wanted. And we was like, look, you've effectively insulted us and our intelligence, and you know, much love to people in the front office, but if this is what y'all put on the table, we're really ready to release. You know, so we basically told them, y'all don't even really have a time frame for the level of negotiations it would take to get what you sent us anywhere near reasonable. You know, so we turned several down, you know, and they know who they are. And it's, like I said, it's no love lost to the people, you know, because they're there trying to break artists and make a stamp on the industry and, you know, build up a brand, you know. Man, you know how kids grow up thinking like whatever their goal is way out, and it's like it's far from it. I just never had that feeling about music. Like it was always right there. And it might have been a little further than I thought it was, but you know, at least I didn't psych myself out to believe it was unattainable, you know. And that's because I saw, and it wasn't so much singing with Michael Jackson or Tina Turner and all those people. Like, one, as a kid, I thought my mom was just as good, if not better, than Whitney Houston. Because I seen Whitney Houston sing and blow away crowds. I seen my mom do it, but I've also seen my mom sit at the piano, play and sing at the same time, direct a choir and all. She was like she could go anywhere and make the team better. She was Michael Jordan of doing music. Like, and right now she could play classical, teach music, teach voice. Like, she's a true musician, and her mother is a true musician. You know, and I got my uncle on tour with me. He's the one that hooked a lot of that up. He was Prince's bass player, Shaka Khan's bass player. Yeah, so, yeah, that's my uncle. Yeah. So yeah. So it just made it so that nothing seemed out of reach, because you seeing the people that you seeing your flesh and blood do it at a high level. You know, and when you got the right people in the room, like my mom is just the right person, you know. So it's not like when she was in those sessions, it was like those were her peers, you know. And even to the BB and CC Winans, like the gospel industry, you know, knows exactly who my mom is. You know, she wrote a song that CC Winans, Brooklyn Tabernacle, and a gang of choirs and groups all over the world re-recorded, and it's just a world-renowned song. And so it's just, you know, it just lets you know that it's possible. And you never know how it's gonna happen, you know. I grew up singing, you know. I learned to rap, you know, after my teenage years, you feel me? Well, the Lloyd song is "Round My Way." This is how we do it, round my way. But that was mainly because we were a writing team. So me and my brother Davion, my homeboy Chiz, rest in peace, who was also my rap partner, but he passed from lymphoma when we was 26. My homeboy Moses, my cousin Tiffany Goucher, and then of course Sir came later. But we were writing camp. Davion and Moses wrote "Around My Way" for Lloyd and worked with Lloyd. I met Lloyd, but that wasn't a song I was kind of like instrumental on. But the Joe record, it was funny. The Joe record is called "More Than Just Friends" or "Why Just Be Friends," one of those, right? And so it was one of those nights. 4 of us in the studio, and they played a lot of beats. Me and the homie Chiz, who was my rapping partner, we chose one beat, and then Davion and his homie Moses chose another beat. And so we went in 2 different sections of the studio and was like, we gonna write to this one, you know. And then there was other people there that's like, all right, when y'all get a verse and a hook done, or when y'all finish the song, we gonna come back and vote on which one we gonna record tonight, you know. And so it was basically a little writing competition. And then me and Chiz went back and wrote "Why Just Be Friends," and it just had this kind of Michael Jackson vibe, 2-step, you know. And we wrote that, and then Dave and Moses, I can't tell you what they wrote. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's my brother. He'll confirm the story too, so it's not like I'm clowning. But so he came back a little butthurt that our song got voted, the one to be recorded. And then he cut it, you know. And he's a brilliant vocalist, so he still did it justice. And then within a couple months, they had shown interest, like, hey, I need that song, and they put it out, put a video to it, and it was a single and it was going up, so. I have some music that I'm extremely excited about releasing. I'm gonna take my time and put it together masterfully like we do. And outside of music, I mean, and one, the music that we have out, I think it deserves our attention still in terms of like putting out visuals, continue to develop content. So because we're in a different world when it comes to one, being independent, two, putting your music in the places where people get a chance to digest it song by song. Had this been 2008, you could count on people listening from beginning to end because that's how people listen to music, right? The way people listen to music is entirely different. So it's the artist's responsibility to get behind it and be like, all right, we're gonna spoon feed y'all these records that we know you may not have found, and we're gonna give you every opportunity to find your favorite song, so we'll continue to do that with the project, with Warren Wonders, the latest project that's out, as we continue recording and releasing songs that we already have, and so it's just, this is the phase where we just start giving, people more and more, and it's not gonna be a project right away, but it will eventually. And then outside of music, of course, I've been working on a book for some time, and I'm excited about finishing that. I'd finished a draft, and then I went back to the drawing board to, fill it out a little bit more. So that's gonna be a book and a series, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just excited about that. But that's the teacher in me. I actually wrote it while I was a substitute teacher, so that's the part that really wants to tap back into that energy and put something out in the world that's going to just move the needle, move culture forward, and reach a younger audience.